Sukihantu and good evening to ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Dhamma Dana series brought to you by Buddhist Mahavihara Malaysia. Today's session is also live on TBCM Facebook. Do subscribe our FB for more information. The topic for tonight is The Sixth Senses by Bhante K. Anuruddha Thera. Bhante K. Anuruddha Thera was born in Sri Lanka in 22nd March 1971. He joined the Sangha ordination at the age of 8 and received his higher ordination in 1982. He completed his degree in Buddhist philosophy at University of Jawaharlal and Buddhist counseling at the University of Kelaniya's Postgraduate Institute of Pali and Buddhist Studies. Bhante also received a postgraduate diploma in counseling from Wallow, India. Without further ado, let's invite Bhante to join us in our live session. Good evening, Bhante, and welcome to our Dhamma series. So I'll hand over the Dhamma to you right now.
Good evening. First of all, I would like to thank Buddhist Mahavihara Sangha community and the lay community for inviting us to conduct this Dhamma talk. And I'd like to thank the hosting this program, as well Mr. Leslie for inviting us. So today, when I got the invitation, I reflect to share with you the practicing, what is our practicing at the present moment. So when I reflect, it came to mind, it is better to pay our attention to our six senses, how it functioning here and now. So I think everybody have some ideas about these six senses and how it functioning. Before I start the Dhamma talk, I like to guide you to establish your mindfulness, concentration, and awareness on these six senses, and to practice. So I invite you to sit comfortably. Slowly close your eyes and relax your whole body. Feel your body and body posture. It is sitting. The body, how you sitting posture, and touching your cushion or chair. Notice body and the body objects, how it touching the floor, touching the chair, all the body touch with maybe heating, cooling. So whatever you touch with throughout your body, notice body and body temple. As well, you can notice your ears and then sounds, your ear and sounds. What are the sounds you are hearing near and far? Paying attention, notice your internal ears, sense, and external the objects, the sounds. Notice your six senses, how it functions here and now. Is it happening or is it doing? It is happening, look like, seeing, hearing. It is objectively, it is happening. Without personally wanting or expecting, just happening. Paying your attention to your sensory experience here and now. Observe, is it happening or doing? Notice the difference of happening or doing. Hearing is a happening, listening is doing. Notice your six senses, how it functions here and now. Happening as a karma vipaka, it is just happening. And when you listen, think, looking, it is a doing. acting. It is a new action or new karma, new sankhara. You do conditionally, intentionally, you like or dislike what you are doing. Notice the difference happening and doing. You are being in mindful, aware what is really happening. Internal six senses always contact with the external object. Notice you're practicing being mindful, being aware, developing the wisdom, recognize what is really happening. Instead of doing new karma, just being aware what is really happening. In a meditation, we develop to know internal six senses, external objects, and the consciousness which arises dependently, consciousness arising as well. Internal senses, external objects, and dependently arises consciousness, all are impermanent, changing, moving. It is dependently arising. Instead of I hear, I see, I touch, just notice internal six senses, external objects, and consciousness which dependently arise in. So aware to totally what is really happening, moment to moment. Dear Dhamma friends, today I thought draw your attention to our your six senses. When we think about this indriya, we can say it's like a indriya samvara sila. So the indriya, the six senses or these six faculties should be restrained. So it's a moral, ethical practice. So Indriya Samvara Sila, we know that Sila, Pancha Sila, Atta Sila, Dasa Sila, the 5 precepts, 8 precepts, 10 precepts, the Patimokkha Samvara Sila, like that. Here, the six senses should be restrained. So then in this graphic, the monkey mind should be protected or guarded. If not, you can't reflect what is really happening. It is not only happening, it is you are, instead of seeing, you are looking. Intentionally, you doing something. So morality consisting of purity, of restraint of the senses. So then in our daily practice, we can apply to restraint of the senses. And then Indriya Samvara Sila as well, we can see Indriya Bhavana. They are the development of the faculties. We have to develop our faculties. So what is our developing of the faculty? We can see in Satipatthana Sutta talk about the senses, Buddha and called the monk bhikkhus. A bhikkhu abide contemplate in mind objects as mind objects in terms of the six internal and external bases. And how does a bhikkhu abide contemplate in mind object as mind objects in terms of the six internal and external bases? Here, bhikkhu understands the I, he understands the forms, and he understands the better that arise dependent on both. And he also understands how there comes to be the arising of the unarisen better, and how there comes to be the abandoning of the arisen better, and how there comes to be the further on arising of the abundant better. So here the six senses faculties like mind or eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. So then the objects, external bases like mind objects, forms, sound, smell, taste, body tangle, and mind or thoughts. So this internal and external then encounter then dependently arises the consciousness, eye consciousness, ear consciousness, body consciousness, mind consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness. So these consciousness arise, then three factors come together. We call contact, passa. Passa, the chaku sampassa or gana sampassa, the contact, passa. With this contact, immediately arise the feeling, pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, neutral feeling, and perception, then sanya, sota sanya, sabda sanya, rupa sanya, gana sanya, kaya sanya, mano sanya, the perceptions. With this perception, then the mind, they start the thinking. So thinking, so then connected with greedy or hatred or delusion, because we are in the ordinary putujjana levels. So then we have the ordinary thoughts. So with this, we proliferation in on it. So then arise the idea of the I, myself, with the desires or aversions and delusions. So when this, it called like a fetters. So then when they arise the petals, so then we, in the practice, in the Indriya Samvara Bhavana, in developing our six senses, we should understand what is these six senses, as well external objects, and then what is this consciousness, what is this process. If we don't know, then really we make a new karma, and with this sankhara, we make in the samsara continuations of our life after death and life. So we should know what is really happening here and now. If always automatically we constructing them verbally, mentally, physically, with the doing or acting with this intentional, with the greediness or aversions or hatreds or delusions. So then we are in the samsaric life. So then I would like to draw your attention in Mulapariyaya Sutta. Buddha talk about the different kind of the personality, the putujjana, normal ordinary persons, asutava putujjano, and untaught ordinary persons, aryanam adassavi, no regard for noble ones, arya dhammas, akovido, unskilled in Dhamma, Arya Dhamme Avinito, undisciplined in Dhamma, Sapurisanam Adasavi, no regard for true men or Kalyanamitta, good people. Sappurusa Sa Akovido, unskilled in their Dhamma. Sappurisa Sat Avinito, undisciplined in their Dhamma. So then we can see here then normal ordinary persons. The common worldly, the Putujjana, so his how the psychic level sanjanati, his the level of the mind like a sanjanati, asutava putujjano, the untaught ordinary person. So mind is like sanjanati. But the second person we call higher training, who not reach the goal nirvana, but he willing to practice the Dhamma to reach the goal. He perceives the earth as the earth. He conceives himself as the earth. He delights in earth. He has not fully understood. So this is a sake. So then the person, the sake, and the person who willing to become awakened one, enlightened one, who are looking for the practice, the Buddha Dhamma. So then Abhijanati, directly he should not know earth as earth. He should not conceive himself as earth, mind. Mabhinandati, he should not delight in earth. Parijaneyam, he must fully understand it. So then is the person in a seeker. So we should in here, I want to draw your attention to reflect which levels we are. In Putujana ordinary level, so what as the practitioner of the Buddha Dhamma, so we try to understand earth as earth. We are not reached the highest level, but we are on the way to practice. So we should not conceive myself, himself as a earth, as a mind. So here, then we should understand our six senses, the six internal bases: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. The external, then visual objects, sound, odor, taste, touch, mental objects. So then this six internal bases and the six external bases come together, the six classes of consciousness: eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, which immediately arise, dependently arise because of these two factors, the internal and external objects or bases. The one is the internal basis, the second is external objects, then one and two come together, the consciousness arise. In the Samidhi Lokapanya Sutta, Buddha said that whenever it is said the world, in what way, whenever might there be the world or the descriptions of the world? Where there is the I, Samidhi, where there are forms, I consciousness, things to be recognized by I consciousness, there the world exists, or the descriptions of the world, where there is the ear, the mind, the ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind, where there are mental phenomena, the mind consciousness, things to be recognized by mind consciousness. There the world exists, or the descriptions of the world. So in the in simply it is called world. World mean the internal six senses and external objects and the consciousness which come together. So it is the arisings of the world. It is not in outside. The Buddha addressed here the world is arising in our own internal and external, the senses when encounter, so arise immediately consciousness. It is the world arising here and now within us. Ordinary person, the Putujana, ordinary person think that I am here, there outside there is a world, then I can see, I can hear, I can enjoy like that. Give to karma, like to live. So Amutukama don't like to die. Dukkha Patikula refuse the suffering. Sukhakama like to be happy. So when we reflect ourselves, what is my attitude, my habits, my behavior. We are looking for something to happy, enjoy, as in the same time abandoning suffering and uncomfort, uneasiness. So I think I live, I see, I feel, I think, I have something which I like, then there are something which does not belong to me. I die one day, like that. So always thinking I, myself, the constructing knowingly or unknowingly self, I, myself. So I am looking for my comfort in this world, being in the comfort zone. So then just constructing the idea of the self. When we look this the six senses world, the form world, rupa, the sound world, sabdha, the smells world, taste world, touching world, and thoughts world. This in the Loka Panya Sutta, Samidhi Lokapanya Sutta, then explain then the six senses arising with the external object like a world arising. So arising, when we reflect, it's like something arising. In a Pali we call jati. What is jati means? Then and what bhikkhus is jati for the various beings in the various classes of the beings, jati. The birth, the descent into the womb, the rising in the wall, the appearance, and the apparitions of the khandas, the acquisitions of the ayatana. This bhikkhu is the called jati. Here the ayatana, acquisition of the ayatana. Ayatana means the salayatana, the six senses or six uh, internal factors. So it is arising, the eye arising or ear, nose, tongue, body or mind, the acquisitions of the ayatanas, arising of this, the functioning of this, the six senses, it is called the jati beings. So here we can see the when eye contact form and color, and instead of eye consciousness is produced. So here then I outside the whatever the forms. So here example then elephant or apple, the eye consciousness because of the eye and then outside object, then knowing about the apple or elephants, the eye consciousness arise. So because of eye and forms, I arise the eye consciousness, then no consciousness without an object. Without this the outside objects, the only when there is I, the consciousness cannot be arise. The same way, no beings or phenomena exist the independently of other beings and phenomena. So then when there is an outside object without this I, this no beings or phenomena exist independently of other beings and phenomena. So here I would like to draw your attention what is this process of our sensory experience according to Maha Nidana Sutta. So here you can see external objects, and then we can take a eye as example. The eye, then how is the process of the ditti or scene? How it happening? Here, outside object enter to our eye. Then when to enter the eye, then we have to pay attention. We call manasikara, paying attention, manasikara, and then contact. It is happening all immediately together. So then there is a process internally happening. Namakaya patika sampassa, rupakaya adivachana sampassa. That means namakaya patika sampassa, qualities, traits, or sign and indicators through which there is descriptions of the mental body mind group enter mind to the objects. Then the rupakaya adivachana sampassa or conceptual impressions manifest in the physical body. So it is the outside objects in internal, the mental factors encounter together. At that moment, the mental factors like a Vedana, the feeling, sanya, the perception, chetana, the thinking. So immediately, nama dhamma, the mind group connected with the outside object. Then when outside object, example, the apple, the color and form of the apple meet with the eye, that how we recognize as apple or how we recognize as elephant. There is a internal mechanism. It is explained here. So when we see outside object, the feelings, perception, and the thinking mind activate this normal factors. The mind go working the same time, recognizing as nirukti, panyapti, adivachana descriptions or definitions and the conceptual impressions. With this, then we give the name. This is apple, this is an elephant. So we giving the name. So with the consciousness, nama dhamma, mind groups, and rupa dhamma, the outside for elements, and all the rupa groups altogether, nama rupa as a nama rupa. When we meet this apple as a nama, and the nama dharma, this vedana feelings, and all these nama mind groups, as well the rupa, the form and color and all, then recognize as the apple. It is happening with the chakku vinyana, eye consciousness. So karma is like karma, this process. So we recognize as a karma vipaka, because as a good karma, we have been born in this world as a human body mind. So we have the eye so that we can always see. So this is a karmic process. We are seeing things when enter outside the object, so inside, so we recognize it. In the same time, in this moment, if we don't pay attention or establish mindfulness, concentration, and awareness about this mechanism, so just what we see when we like, oh, it is very tasty, I like apple, and then constructing the chandaraga, we bind in with the desires, attachment. So we call the new karma, that we make in the new karma immediately in this place. Then chakkum, here chakkum paticca rupe chupa chakku viññānam. Chakkum, the eye, and rupa, then outside object. Because of that, the viññāna arise. It is happening very immediately, rapidly, but our real practice, mindfulness and awareness, help us to recognize what is really happening moment to moment. In here, so when the outside object come to the inside, then the senses and arise in the consciousness, immediately we have to reflect. It is a decaying, it is dying, it is impermanent, it is unsatisfactoriness, it is not self or unpersonality, it is dependently arising. When we wisely reflect it, so then we can let it go, then without clinging, without grasping. That is why here we call what is our practice. Our practice, we can reflect in a salayatana. In a salayatana, here we have to be very mindful and aware what is really happening internal senses, internal senses when meet in outside object. It is a very important. If we not in mindfulness and awareness at the moment, we really reacting and identifying I, myself. I like this, I don't like this, I want this. We making the new karma, sankhara, conditioning. So you can see here then that the three factors, the I form, I consciousness, and the elephant in outside. Elephant is seen by I, the seen. Then these, because of the factors come faster, then a chakku vinyana, the I consciousness, not knowing it was arising by cause and effect without knowing it is arising by dependently arising. Just then the passer contact. So then Tinnam Sangati Passo, three things contact. Then arise immediately Vedana, feeling, pleasant, unpleasant feeling. Then when there is a feeling present, then Tanha, desire. Then when there is a Tanha, then when there is a Tanha, so then Upadana, the clinging, and then continuously like to see again and again, or like to hear again and again. So then continuously making karma. Here we can see the impermanent. How you understand about the impermanent? Just then the doctors know impermanent because they every day work with the patients. Like here example, like eye. This eye in outside, then my eye is sick, and my uh, eye, it is like is he getting sick, is eyes are getting old, eyes are dying. So when we notice the eye like this, it is getting old, it is getting sick, it is dying. So already, do you think that we understand the impermanent? It is a partially truth, but one part, but it is not the totally. That is why then outside object, as when we pay attention and reflect, we can understand it is constantly arising and passing, changing. But even though we understand that, we are not enlightened. Because outside object, knowing about outside object dying or sick or getting all, it is not enough. This change, knowing this change into our realization. Here it is very important to reflect how the understanding the real nature of the internal senses as well the external objects, and everything arises dependently. Dependent, and then cause and effect. Then my internal senses, external objects, I consciousness arise dependently. So then one regards the I, thus this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. One regard forms, thus this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. The one regards I consciousness, thus this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. One regard I contact, thus this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. One regard feeling, thus this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. One regard craving, thus this is not mine, this is I am not, this is not myself. So then how I reflect, how I think, how I contemplate, then my internal senses, external objects, and consciousness, and contacts, and feeling, and craving. Then if we wisely reflect, we call yoniso manasikara, we can break the constructing of the conditions, or we can reduce our conditions, unwholesome conditions. Then Ioniso Manasikara, unwise reflection, allow us to make a new karma and continue of our samsara. So here we can say then I, fading away, impermanent, change, cessations, and then it is dependent arising. So then we reflect in the same way, and then outside object, changing, cessation, impermanent, fading away, dependent arising, and the I consciousness also same, reflecting. It is I consciousness also dependent arising, impermanent, change, cessation, fading away. So these three things. So even when we reflect like that, sin is happening, but we are not clinging. So then when we see the things in this understanding, this reflection, so we are not going to look in. So in the scene, we know that there is nothing to look. There are we are not interested to look and cling, because we know what is the real phenomena of internal senses, external objects, and consciousness. So here again, then I want to emphasize in this short Dhamma talk, our six senses are very important. uh, we can practice the meditation, we can develop our six senses everywhere, we can refrain our six senses from making unhealthy, unskillful, unwholesome actions. The Indriya Samvara, Sila, and in the Bhavana, the developing mind. So then it is very important to know the internal and external senses, I, then form, and then the consciousness, then contact. We know that feeling arising, then when the feeling arises immediately, unpleasant or pleasant or neutral, the feeling, because that desire arises, then clinging, and then tanha, the upadana, and bhava, to be, and then jati, the so this is a continuation of our karmic process. So if we want to break this, so then we have to reflect wisely in a Yoniso Manasikara. Everything is dependently arising, it is impermanent, it is not myself. So then today I would like to give the short time for your questions. Uh, let me know your questions. So you see the desire, the expectation, want, and this kind of based on the attachment. So this attachment, it is all as ordinary people, automatically it is arising. So it is very important to aware this, and this is a want and the needs, basic needs like the surviving. So when we use the things like a food, the shelter, then the clothes, and all these things as a monks, when we use that wisely reflect. So we use these things because of my surviving, existing, and not for tasting or the sensory satisfactions, and then to practice the Dhamma. And in this way, so, one can wisely reflect. So when someone wisely reflects, it can reduce the tendencies of the bad karma. And then we have to apply the mindfulness, awareness, then moment to moment, whatever we're doing. So then we do everything with the knowing mind, the knowing, then really knowing the real phenomena of the things. So it support to reduce the tendencies of the bad karma, the attachment or aversion or delusion. Because there is a clarity, there are more than knowing what is really happening. So that is why our main goal is Pajna, Sila, Samadhi, Pajna. The moment to moment, we can apply the knowing mind. So we call in our practice is in the middle path, our Pratipada, the middle path start with the right understanding. It is possible to apply here and now. Pachuppannesu dhammesu tatta tatta vipassati. Whatever arise in the present, dependently arising, the movement of causes arise at the present, knowing it, instead of we doing, but in the same time not clinging. The Petipada, the practice based on we not stop the seeing or hearing, but we are not going to clinging. We are seeing, hearing, doing, but not clinging. Yeah. So then we don't need to worry. Because there is a happening. So seeing is a happening. Then hearing is a happening. The same way our other senses also, it is there is the objectively it is happening, and subjectively when interesting I like to look, so then I looking. So then looking means that it is connected with the intention, like I want, or then other side aversion, I don't like to see. So then it is mixed with the like or dislike, because because of the delusion. We don't know what is the internal senses external objects, so then we are really, as an ordinary person, we are reacting. This is a body mind like a reactive machine. We identify with everything, the personalizing. So we have to be very careful because it is not the practice, it's akusala bhavana, unwholesome practice.
This will be the last question. Can Bhante guide us on how to stop thinking and stop bad perception when our eyes see something?
Yes, I hope you have heard in a meditation, Cheto Vimukti. The Vimukti means a liberation, liberation from the thoughts, Cheto Vimukti. That is why we practice the Bhavana, Samatha Bhavana, in when we practice the meditation like a bit, and then Anapanasati, breathing meditation, or Kayagata Sati, they reflect in the body or feeling. So then the establishing mindfulness, powerful mindfulness, mindfulness on body, mindfulness on feeling, mindfulness on mind, so mind objects. So it supports us to reduce the thinking mind because the thinking is not the meditation. So in the meditation, we train to not to think but open to the direct experience, what is really happening. So in example, in Chittanupassana, uh, uh, Chitte Chittanupassye viharati atapi sampajano, then looking at your own mind, watching your mind, so noticing how is my mind. So paying attention and establish mindfulness and knowing raga chittam va raga chittanti pajanat, when there is desire, you notice is a desireful mind. When there is no desire, you notice this is a not desireful mind. This is a aversion mind, notice as aversionful mind. Aversion lost mind as aversion lost mind. So knowing and then paying attention, it is called checking. Check your mind. How is my mind? Where is my mind? Is it here and now or not? So in this checking, check your own mind. So instead of allowing to your mind to go in here and there, allowing to your monkey mind think more and more, but in paying attention to the meditation object or paying attention to the present movement, present direct experience, and watching and seeing what is happening. So then you, instead of thinking, you are directly open to the welcome present experience, the watching and seeing, the observing your present experience. So allow to arise your wisdom, and then knowing what is really happening, internal senses, external object, consciousness. So then instead of thinking, you open the wisdom to reflect or wise attention to recognize what is really happening. So it is the way we can allow to realizations, that we call the Prajna Vimukti, liberation from wisdom. So there is a two kind of liberation. How we can reduce the thinking mind. One is samatha bhavana, paying attention to meditation object, neutral object, and develop mindfulness and concentration. When they're reducing the hindrance, defilements, then we can experience cheto vimukti, the reduce of the thoughts, no thoughts, then the free from the thoughts, then the liberation, cheto vimukti, liberate from the thoughts as well. But normally, again, when we day-to-day life, again, all these things come again. So we have to totally liberate. So then we have to practice Prajna Vimukti, liberate from the wisdom. So we have to observe, analyze, investigate what is the real phenomena of this body mind, Nama Rupa. And knowing deeply, then we can get rid of all these thoughts.
Thank you for answering all the questions from our audience, Bhante. Now let's invite Bhante to conduct Anumodana.
So thank you for invite today to conduct this Dhamma sessions, Dhammadana series. I would like to share all the merits what we have accumulated by practicing meditation and sharing the Dhamma. This is the highest wholesome deeds, meritorious deeds we can do. So then we share with these meritorious deeds with our venerable monks, Buddhist Mahavihara, Sangha, as well, and then our secretary as Leslie, Mr. Leslie, and all the your committee members, and then our hosting, then and all our Dhamma friends and all people who passed away, we can remember as well all the devas, all the beings in the universe, all the people who are in these challenges movement, who undergo a lot of difficulties. May they all receive this wholesome energy and rejoice. May they all free from all suffering, attain to liberation, Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. අභිවාදන සීලිස්ස නිච්ඡං වද්ධාපචායිනෝ චත්තාරෝ ධම්මා වද්දන්ති ආයුවන්නෝ සුඛං බලං ආයුරාෝග්‍ය සම්පatti සග්ග සම්පatti මේවච අතෝ නිබ්බාන සම්පatti විනාතේ සමිච්ඡතු ආකාසත්තා ච බුම්මත්තා දේවානාගා මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤං තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරන් රැක්කන්තු ලෝක සාසනං ආකාසත්තා ච බුම්මත්තා දේවානාගා මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤං තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරන් රැක්කන්තු දේශනං ආකාසත්තා ච බුම්මත්තා දේවානාගා මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤං තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරං රක්ඛන්තු ත්වං සදා. May you be peace, may you be happy, may you be liberated, may you be liberated, may you be liberated.
Thank you, Bhante. On behalf of the monk and management of Mahavihara, we would like to thank Bhante for his time and sharing his Dharma knowledge with us. We would also like to express our gratitude to all our sponsors for their kind donations and all our audience here for joining us tonight. Good night, everybody, and have a pleasant evening. Suki Hontu.
Vihotu.